What's going on, everybody? This is a new episode of StaleMates. Today we're doing more of a gambling show. I got my buddy Alex all the way from Madison, Wisconsin with us today. Say what's up, Alex.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking us out.
Alex is a good friend of mine. He's a big MMA fan. There's not a lot going on in the sports world nowadays except for the UFC is keeping it rolling. Today we're going to bring you some UFC picks in case you're a gambling man. You can see kind of into the mind of my friend Alex here who knows what he's doing with gambling. He started small and he's just keep growing his account over and over. We've wanted to do this for a while, so we're going to get into the main card. We're going to start off by kind of giving our picks pick by pick with the main card, and then also we're going to do a parlay pick and then a lock pick, like who, we're not as close to a guarantee as possible, but there's always a risk in gambling. And then I believe we're going to give an underdog pick if we're lucky.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
All right, so let's get into the main card here. The first fight on the main card would be Mackenzie Dern and Hannah Cipher. What are the odds on that one?
So I think we have, these are subject to change because it's only like a week away.
Right, we're recording this on Sunday, what is today?
Today is the 22nd. Memorial Day is tomorrow, 24th, I think.
Okay, so by the time you've seen this or by the time the actual card happens, the odds could be totally different, but they usually tend to stay somewhat around this range. So Mackenzie Dern, Hannah Cyphers, who you got?
So I have Mackenzie Dern. The only reason is I think she's just she has more experience on the ground. Not saying that Hannah Cyphers doesn't have any good ground game, but Hannah Cyphers kind of she pushes forward a lot. She can brawl, but I feel like if Mackenzie Dern, they're both coming off losses, so I feel like if Mackenzie Dern wants to win this, she will definitely take it to the ground. She's a very accomplished Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitor. She won the ADCC 2015 gold medal, which is it's basically essentially the Olympics of Jiu-Jitsu, since I don't think the Olympics are, the Olympics aren't in, or Jiu-Jitsu is not in the Olympics. So she has her ground game. But at the same time, you can't always rely on your ground game. The fight starts standing on the feet. But I feel like she has enough experience. They're both ranked. It seems they're both ranked pretty evenly. Number 24 and 23 in the world. 24 is Mackenzie Dern. 23 is Hannah Cyphers. Hannah Cyphers fought a good fight against Polyana Viana. She went to a split decision. In that fight, she was throwing some pretty heavy punches. As I was saying before, the fight will start on the feet. She is coming off a loss to Angela Hill, who Angela Hill was on a tear. If you remember that last card when she fought Claudia Gadelha, a lot of people could have said that could have gone to Angela Hill, but so she's definitely fought people at her caliber, or she's definitely fought a decent competition at the 115 weight class. But I feel like Mackenzie Dern can get this done. She's also coming off of a loss. She had a baby as well back in 2019, so I think she fought 4 months after she gave birth, so that's pretty impressive. Like I said, she's training with top teams in California, so I feel like Mackenzie Dern is a solid, bet for this fight card.
Yeah, anytime you see minus 400 on a UFC card, that's usually a pretty good guarantee that they're the heavy favorite there. The second fight of the night, we got Roosevelt Roberts 9-1 versus Brock Weaver 14-4. What's your pick?
So I'm probably going to have to take Roosevelt Roberts. I'm not very familiar with Roosevelt Roberts or Brock Weaver. They both have experience. Or they definitely both, Roosevelt Roberts was also on the Dana White Contender Series. So was Brock Weaver. But I'm probably just going to have to go with Roosevelt Roberts. He has more experience. He's fought in different circuits. He fought in King of the Cage out in California. He's fought for Bellator. He's fought in a lot of, he has the experience going into this fight. And plus the odds, it seems just like at a minus 320, you would have to say, he's a heavy favorite. Also, at the same time, Brock Weaver, plus 260. That's pretty decent underdog. But I don't know. My gut's kind of taking Roosevelt Roberts. I'll have to take Roosevelt Roberts with this pick.
Right on. All right, the co-main event of the night, we got Lavoie Ivanov versus Augusto Sakai. Augusto Sakai is 14-1-1. Ivanov 18-3-0 and 1 no contest. What do you got on this one?
So I want to take Lavoie Ivanov. He has more experience. He's came close. He fought Derek Lewis. He lost a split decision to Derek Lewis. A lot of people could argue that he might have won that, but I feel like sometimes the crowd will, the crowd can sway the judges maybe sometimes. Everybody loves Derek Lewis, but I feel like Ivanov probably won that fight.
Was this on the Houston card?
I think it was on the Houston card.
Yeah,
it was the last one. Yeah. So
Derek Lewis definitely lost that fight.
Yeah, Derek Lewis definitely lost that
In
fight.
my mind.
But he went in. But he's this Ivanov guy. He's fought with some of the top guys. He's fought Junior Dos Santos, went to a decision with him, lost. He's fought Ben Rothwell. Ben Rothwell just came off an awesome, a pretty a good win for him,
yep.
relevant win. During this. He also fought Tai Tuivasa. He's from Samoa. Where is he? He's Samoan. He's from Australia, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think so. But I feel like Ivanov has the experience. I feel like what it'll be. Sakai might just try to knock him out. Which Sakai had a decent fight. He took out Tai Tuivasa last fight. 8 months ago, he knocked him out first round. Then he went to a split decision with Andrei Arlovsky. That fight was kind of interesting. I feel like if it would have gone into more rounds, maybe like a 5-round fight, I feel like Arlovsky could have taken advantage of that. I don't know. I feel like Ivanov has the experience to, control the fight. Maybe, if this goes into a later rounds, heavyweights, will he get gassed? Will this, Augusto Sakai, will Sakai try and take him out, in the first round, try and just, knock out, go for, just blitz, or will, he gas out trying to do that, and Ivanov, capitalize and, maybe bust out maybe a decision. If you guys wanted to bet maybe the over of the rounds, I'm not sure what the odds are for the overs, but heavyweights, I would probably assume you could definitely bet it would go to a decision, over 1.5 rounds, over 2.5 rounds if you wanted to bet it. But yeah, I would definitely take Ivanov with this fight.
Okay, the main event, I'm super excited about this. One of my favorite fighters in the UFC, Tyron Woodley, 19-4-1 versus Gilbert Burns, 18-3. Gilbert Burns coming off a really good win in that same card that Kevin Holland was on in UFC Brazil. So I feel like it's kind of an advantage for these guys that fought in the Brazil card because they're already used to that no crowd experience, no fans in the stands. Also, I'm huge Tyron Woodley fan, but I'm taking Gilbert Burns because a lot of these fights that have been happening during the Corona time is I feel like the guys who have been in fight camps for a long time are the ones losing because it's kind of wearing on their body. It's probably mentally exhausting not knowing when your next fight is, where it's going to be. Tyron Woodley's fight's been postponed a couple times now. He hasn't fought since he lost to Kamaru Usman when he lost his belt back in 2019. Yeah.
I think it was 2019, yeah.
Or maybe late 2018, but
it's been a while.
So the ring rust is a real thing, despite what Dominic Cruz says, in my opinion. Gilbert Burns, though, he's been looking good. He got the finish early last time. The thing with Tyron Woodley is he's got a chin. I can't remember the time he's been knocked out.
I feel like there's a good fight. He's been knocked out before. Nate Marquardt, if you haven't seen that fight, that was back in Strikeforce. That was kind of like before the big merge from Strikeforce to the UFC.
Okay.
But where we saw all the likes of the Strikeforce, the Luke Rockholds, the Daniel Cormiers, they transitioned over to the UFC. And Tyron Woodley, he got knocked out in, devastated fashion by Nate Marquardt. But he revamped his game, I feel like. Woodley came back. He came into the UFC. I think he fought Jay Haran first, and then he went on to fight, I believe, Josh Koscheck. But he just went on a tear. Now we know him for who he is. He lost to Kamaru Usman. He got outclassed, I would have to say. Just out-wrestled, just outworked. Woodley, he does have the experience. He's been to the championship rounds, as you would say. Gilbert Burns, okay, he's never been in these rounds. He's coming off a win over Damian Maia. He knocked out Damian Maia. A lot of people could argue Damian Maia is on his way out. Damian Maia was 42 years old, I think, and they fought I think that it was one of the Brazil card, the first no crowd event. It was 2 months ago. He knocked him out in the first round. Some could argue, I don't know. This is what it always comes down to. People say MMA math, like, oh, well, Gilbert Burns knocked out Damian Maia in the first round. Well, Tyron Woodley went to a 5-round decision with him, survived, getting his back taken, defended all the submissions. So I feel like Tyron Woodley, he's on a vengeance to, get his belt back. Every time he's lost, he's came back stronger. I feel like he knows what to do. He'll probably want to stand. Probably doesn't want to take it to the ground. Look for a knockout. Gilbert Burns, can he take him down? Well, Usman was able to take him down, and Usman is a big, he's a very, very established wrestler. Gilbert Burns, he's very, very good in jiu-jitsu. He's a world champion, a lot of different, and he also kept very active last year. But that was also the one thing we were talking about, overtraining yourself during this time. Is it good? Will he be able to come out and take, Tyron Woodley down? Don't know, but he definitely has the possibility to be able to submit him for sure. But will it go to the ground? Woodley, I don't see Woodley taking it down to the ground. I see it standing, and I feel like Woodley's going to choose his shots and maybe, take advantage of the 5 rounds that Gilbert Burns has never been to. So I got Woodley as well for the main event.
Man, I really hate going against Tyron Woodley, but I got to go with my gut on this one. I don't know. Okay, so another thing that I had you do was I asked if you could put together a parlay for these guys, and just to save us on some time here, you ended up just kind of going with all your picks of the main card, correct?
Right, yeah. So we'll just do the 5 picks parlay, the 5-fight parlay. We'll do Dern, Roberts, Holland, Ivanov, and Woodley. Maybe put that on a $10 parlay. Don't do anything crazy, but just $10 parlay. So I would go with that for my 5-fight pick.
And go ahead and throw out a couple locks for these people if you got them. Now, just disclaimer, people, there's no such thing as a real lock, but this is about as close as you can get.
Right. So I think we would go with the lock as Mackenzie Dern. She is a minus 400. I wouldn't take it as a single bet. Maybe I would parlay it with Holland if you wanted to, because minus 400, if you really want to throw down that kind of change to make some, you can, but I would maybe parlay it with Holland. So maybe a Dern parlay, Holland for the lock.
All right, and now for the last one. Now, this is kind of this might not necessarily be the pick, but if you want to pick an underdog, if you're trying to get some extra money, we're going to go ahead and give you an underdog pick. Go ahead, Alex.
For the underdog pick, I have Caitlin Shikogian. So she's fighting Antonina Shevchenko. So if anybody doesn't know, that is the 125-pound champion's older sister. Assassin, yeah. And so the thing is, Caitlin Shikogian is coming off of a loss to her opponent, her Saturday night opponent's sister. So the biggest thing is I would have to say is these sisters have been training with each other for a while. Obviously, they're sisters. They probably helped each other getting ready for Valentina Shevchenko's title defense against Caitlin Shikogian. So they probably have a game plan of what they want to do. Antonina Shevchenko, she's a very good stand-up. She has experience over in Europe with Thai fighting and kickboxing, I believe. But she has a striking background, so definitely this will be a strike. The fight will start on its feet, obviously. But I want to say that Shevchenko is probably going to be point fighting, trying to win. Caitlin Shikogian, she probably thinks like, man, I'm fighting the opponent I just lost to, sister. They probably know what I'm trying to do. I might want to take it to the ground. I'm not sure, but I would just, if you wanted to bet the underdog, I would take Caitlin Shikogian. She's a plus 100, so maybe that'll change later on in the week. But I would take that as maybe the underdog. I would take that as the underdog.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put you on the spot here. You don't even know what I'm about to ask you right now, but
oh, shit.
So when you bet, you can pick how they're going to win. So do you have anybody, if I'm looking to try to put some money down on a knockout, which one are you going with?
So if you wanted to put money down on a submission, I would probably maybe say Mackenzie Dern, maybe second round if you could find the odds for that. Find something good, maybe second round. But I would maybe look for a submission with Mackenzie Dern. Maybe Woodley, maybe a knockout if you wanted to do that. Or maybe if you wanted to, go for Gilbert Burns, a submission, maybe if you wanted to do that. But I think the best bet would probably be Mackenzie Dern, maybe a second round submission, maybe a first round submission. It depends on how fast she wants to take it to the ground, or if she's trying to exploit or, maybe test her stand up, because she is, coming over to MMA, all the fights stand up on the feet. So I would maybe say Mackenzie Dern take with a submission.
Alex, thanks for joining me all the way from Madison, Wisconsin.
Thanks, man.
Good luck Saturday, man.
Yeah, you as well.
I'm excited that this is back.
Me too. I've been kind of, just bored. Not a lot of sports are on. I don't really watch anything else, so it's kind of nice and exciting to see fights, planned.
No South Korean baseball bets?
And potentially. No South Korean baseball bets. I know my friends have been doing that, but apparently, if you want to get bet on some South Korean baseball, it's out there.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me, Alex. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, all that. Weekly content. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, @StaleMates Show. Email us at stalematesshow@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, everybody.